In the immediate aftermath of the COVID pandemic, much of the talk was about how the public cloud had made it so easy for people to transition to a remote work environment and to build a remote transactions ecosystem. But today, across enterprises, there's growing realization that the public cloud cannot handle many use cases optimally. The way to go is a hybrid cloud environment, one that combines on-premise, private cloud, and public cloud services to create a seamless, flexible, and scalable infrastructure. And that's what we will discuss today. So welcome to this edition of Techies Friday Plus Plus. I'm Sujit John. I will moderate this discussion, which we are doing in association with HP Enterprise. We will discuss the best practices for designing and deploying a hybrid cloud infrastructure and how it can help organizations reduce costs, improve performance, and enhance security. And for this, we have two very seasoned professionals. We have with us Rajesh Dhar. Rajesh is Senior Director of Industry Vertical Sales at HP Enterprise India. Rajesh is an IT professional with over 20 years of sales and business management experience. In his previous roles at HPE, he was responsible for overall business management of HP Technology Services for the India subcontinent. That included services in cloud, big data, mobility, security, and data center maintenance. Welcome, Rajesh.
Thanks, Sujit. Thanks for having me here today.
Pleasure.
Great pleasure. Yeah.
And we have with us Riyaz Ladiwala. Riyaz is President and Head of Technology and Operations at Nuvama Wealth. Nuvama Wealth is a wealth management company that came out of Edelweiss Group. Riyaz has close to 25 years of experience in capital markets, overseeing operations, technology, strategy, and business across broking, research, financial planning, wealth, and asset management. Currently, he's responsible for setting out the tech vision and his execution across all business verticals for Nuvama. Welcome, Riyaz.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction and for having me here. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure, Riyaz. Those who are viewing this, do send in questions through the comments section. I will put them to Riyaz and Rajesh. Rajesh, let me start with you. Give us an idea. Okay, I know we've heard hybrid cloud being talked about a lot. Tell us what hybrid cloud is and why do you think a hybrid architecture is important in today's digital landscape?
I think you alluded to it when you started the discussion. You said, during COVID time, a lot of people moved on to public cloud. And, there's been a journey for a lot of organizations who kind of adopted public cloud. But what has happened over a period of time, they've also realized that while they like the experience of being on the public cloud, they possibly haven't been very, very happy about the unpredictability about the expense. In some cases, it's been 2x, 3x of what they thought they would be paying, and it's taking a lot of management time to honestly look at how the expense is being deployed on the public cloud. So that's been one negative aspect. And second, as you rightly said, they also realize that some of the workloads may not be suitable for deployment on public cloud. So what we're seeing now is a realization that cloud is not a destination. It's an operating environment, which you must have across edge, across your own on-prem data centers and also on the cloud. So world, I think, is realizing that the world is going to be hybrid. There is merit in being on public cloud, but there's also a bigger merit to look at what is relevant to go on to public cloud and what is relevant to be on the on-prem and on the edge. So we believe that most of the organizations are now getting this realization, and hybrid is the way. And there is method to this madness. How these hybrid cloud implementations are happening. A lot of automation which they got used to is being implemented on-prem. Some of the consumption models which they got used on public cloud, those are now available on the on-prem and on edge. So simple answer is world is going to be hybrid, and that's where the journey for most of the enterprise companies are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I remember long ago the AWS CEO kind of saying the whole world will go to public cloud and all that across. But today, I don't think anybody is saying that anymore. It seems to be everybody's talking hybrid, including them. I think.
Absolutely.
Riyaz, give me an idea. I mean, do you agree with that? Are you also a hybrid cloud company now? How does it work for you?
Yeah, very much. So we're also pretty much a hybrid cloud company, and I agree with Rajesh. Cloud is not really a destination. I think it's a journey, and there are so many factors at play. Cost tends to take up a large part of the discussion because it's a very sensitive topic. Uh, but if you look at it from a point of view, it's also about the ecosystem being in place. When you look at the BFSI sector, where there is a lot of legacy that gets built in into applications, and legacy is a very difficult thing to get away with. You try to put up legacy applications on the cloud. If it's not configured for the cloud, if it's not tuned to use the best practices and the tools that are available on the cloud, the economics will actually kill you. So so it's also a question of whether the environment, the application, the workloads that you're running, whether that's suitable. There's also a huge regulatory aspect to what we do. So it's just not about putting all the workloads onto the cloud. There's also a lot of aspects around data security, privacy, and given the markets that we come in a company like Nuvama, where capital markets is a relatively large portion of our business, where businesses where the that part of the business can scale up in terms of users overnight, depending on an action that happens in global markets. So it's not really a simple answer. So I think I agree with Rajesh. Hybrid is here to stay. What goes on to which part of hybrid, whether you put it onto the public cloud, private cloud, what you want to deploy onto the on-prem, it's just not about computing. It's also about data storage, retrieval, analytics that you want to run. So all of these factors ultimately will help you to create a framework which will help you to decide what works best for you. And for us, as of now, hybrid works best for us. And I'm very happy to say Nuvama has had a great experience with HP, who's been a great partner in this journey for us.
I'll ask you more on that a little later, Riyaz. But Rajesh, I mean, the points that Riyaz also mentioned, of course, regulation, I think, and security, etc., becoming a big issue for just being public cloud. And what Riyaz said about you can't just take a legacy application and dump it on the cloud. It's not optimal. So cost is one big concern, but there are all these other issues as well, right?
So this whole cloud journey. When I meet a lot of customers, went on public cloud because somebody in the board said, "Why are you not on the cloud? Because if you are not on the public cloud, then you're not doing the right thing." And usually a lot of these board members have influence over the CEOs. A lot many times is directions come from the top. And a lot of customers moved on to public cloud without realizing that some of the workloads are not suitable. And Riyaz spoke about regulation, compliance, security, latency. So latency could become an issue. Your application, the way it is architected, dependencies. So I think a lot of these shifts onto public cloud possibly didn't go the way they were supposed to go because, as Riyaz said, you look at it. We have a service which we call as right mix advisory service, whereby we look at a workload and there are close to around 20 to 23 attributes we look at a workload, which is your latency, security, compliance, and also the cost TCO of running that workload on public cloud. Data, a lot of people didn't realize that just to move their own data from cloud onto their laptops, they will end up paying more money. So there are a lot of these surprises. So you look at a workload, you analyze it, and think, is it fit for movement across clouds? or do you need to modernize, or do you need to retire and retain? So a lot of these discussions are now happening. So this cloud discussion is become a little more nuanced, little more educative. People are able to now understand the nuances. And what you see now, the conversations are little more technical, a little more refined when people talk about workloads as to how they should move. This is one. And second thing is you may also want to use cloud to test out something. And once a proof of concept is done, you may still want to run the workload on-prem because of cost considerations. But to test it out, it's easy. You deploy it on the cloud, and your time to market is quicker. So a lot of these things are now coming into discussion. And as I said, this whole conversation around cloud is no longer a destination. It's a conversation around operating environments. And as Riyaz said, it's a journey. Something which looks good on-prem today may look good after 2 years on the cloud. So you may have to have that mechanism ready. So a lot of these frameworks are being discussed, and we're helping a lot of customers here in India and across the globe to have this hybrid conversation a little more refined, rather than blindly, just going on cloud because that's what some consultant is telling you to do.
You look at some 23 parameters, you said, is it? You analyze all of those to then
absolutely,
decide what goes into public cloud, what goes into private cloud.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and testing is easier because you have quick resources available quickly and you can test. And then is that the reason?
In the sense, you're saying for us to deliver this service, we have a fairly large.
You said testing is sometimes done on the public cloud, but then you meant
so I'm saying, you want to run a proof of concept. You're not sure how the revenue profile is going to be for that business. You want to run it on a cloud, and it's easy for you to then shut it down if you don't want it. So there are benefits on testing it out or testing a concept on a public cloud, because time to market is a little faster. So those are the benefits you can do on greenfield projects. But once a project stabilizes, becomes brownfield, becomes stable, the cloud economics come into picture, and then you realize that suddenly you're paying a lot more than what you should be paying. Suddenly you realize that possibly the latency is killing the customer experience. So there are a lot of these nuances which come in, but you can start, and then once it becomes big, you can move it back and forth depending on how the economics works for you.
Riyaz, is it possible for you to give us some examples from your own implementations and all that? What do you put on public cloud? What do you put on your on-premise systems?
So before I give you the examples, let me tell you a little bit about Nuvama and our journey. That will give you the perspective. So Nuvama actually came out of Edelweiss. It's a 25-year-old business, and around the time during the COVID, so we are actually a company that got rebranded during the COVID times. We were being evaluated because this business was being carved out of Edelweiss. We got a new investor, the PAG Group. And the focus in our business is on capital markets, asset management, and on wealth management. Now, if you look at each of these three verticals which are there, all of them have their own nuances in terms of customer applications, middle offices, back offices support. So if you look at something like, say, for example, a private wealth business, when you look at the back office application, none of the back office applications which are there in the country are actually truly configured for the cloud. They're all legacy systems. They're all built over a period of time. So that is something that we run completely on-prem because it's not configured only for the cloud. If I put it onto the cloud, it's going to be horrendously expensive. Plus, I won't get the performance that I need to get into it. But if you look at my middle offices that I've built over the back office applications, or my connectors to the front office applications where my clients, my RMs, the CXOs which are there, they are all on the public cloud, where they can access all of this. So there is in each of, if you look at one particular ecosystem which is there to be able to deliver a service to the customers, whether it is through your digital applications, your website, your mobile applications, you'll probably choose to put it into the public cloud, which is there. Your middle offices probably will be onto a private cloud, which is shared only for yourself. And then probably your back office application is onto your on-prem services. Now, all of them have their own nuances in terms of why we will choose a particular option over another. There is no one size that fits all. We also have, say, for example, the investment management business, where our entire business, because we set it up from scratch, where we did not have legacy. It's a business that's 2 years old. It's a completely cloud business where we don't own any assets in that business. So it's also, like I said, it's a journey. And when we got a new investor into the company, we also had the mandate and the opportunity to look at our entire architecture and our entire infrastructure from scratch. The mandate was to separate out from Edelweiss and create brand new infrastructure that gave us a chance to look at our architecture and look at how our networks were working. So we adopted a policy where things which were already, we had started moving to the cloud. We did what we called as lift and shift. Now we're optimizing all of these things which are there. We are optimizing the workloads. We're looking at the applications all over again. But I think the crux of what this conversation is all about is that there is no one particular solution. What has worked for us may look at, if it's a new age company that is starting from scratch, they may look at it very, very differently. And it really depends on what kind of experience you're looking to offer to your end customers, what kind of data workloads that you work with. When you take all of these factors into consideration, there is probably a solution which is hybrid, which will probably work better for you. But the cloud has its own advantages, but you need to look at it very closely. It's not something that you can just start off, because again, I'm saying the economics will kill you and you may not even get the performance and the experience that you want.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the economics part of it. There was this case of Dropbox, which has been written about a lot. I think they moved completely from AWS to a private cloud, and they saved a hell of a lot of money, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Rajesh, you want to add to that? Is that how, I mean, the way Riyaz was talking, is that the way most companies think?
He said, in the journey, different stages of an organization. I'll give you some 2-3 examples, and you'll realize why there are sensitivities around how you adopt cloud, and how do why there is serious rethink around hybrid. When I started my career, I used to manage one bank, public sector bank. I can't name it, and they had a very robust credit card business, very respected bank and credit card business. And then there was this foreign bank which came with a proposal for a co-branded card. And after a year and a half, they realized that 80% of their HNI cardholders were no longer with them. They had moved from this bank to the other bank, who had come out with this co-branded card strategy. So the example reflects this issue that you don't know, one, who's going to be your competition tomorrow. And that's what we have seen in the fintech companies. You have not so traditional companies now becoming your competition, with whom you've been trusting your data with. Correct. So this is one classic case as to why people are becoming now a little more strategic in their thinking as to who they want to work with in this whole ecosystem of cloud economy. The second was, Riyaz spoke about some, look at the large startup companies who are big now in the country, and they're having this issue of funding winter. Not many people are wanting to right now invest money because they want these companies to start showing profit so that they can go go the IPO way so that there is something to show. And a lot of these companies have started analyzing where are they spending money. And the biggest money is on the IT. And when we talk to them and we analyze their spend, you realize that they can reduce their IT spend by 50-60% by just being on a hybrid cloud strategy.
Really?
And to their horror, they're finding it extremely difficult to decouple their business from public cloud providers because the tools they use, uh, they're so embedded that the exit cost and exit strategy is non-existent. And they're finding it very difficult because on one side, they know they're spending a lot of money on their IT, while it has given them the flexibility what they needed when they were growing. But at the scale which they are now, if they were to have a hybrid strategy, they can actually turn to a large extent profitable by just conserving cash what they're spending on the IT. But they do not have an
That's
exit
very
strategy. So
interesting. Okay.
when you
Hmm.
talk to some large enterprise customers and tell them, do you have an exit strategy if you don't like this experience? And believe me, a lot of them have not thought through. And they're suddenly realizing that that's the right thing to do. And that's why I like what Riyaz said, is that you need to have a very solid hybrid framework because one size doesn't fit all. You will have workloads which will move on to public cloud. Some will remain, some will keep shifting depending on timeline. But at any point of time, your framework should have the flexibility to move around these workloads without getting stuck. So this is another aspect of this whole conversation we are having with the organizations around hybrid cloud strategies.
So exit strategy, you're saying, is very difficult with these hyperscalers and all that. So
because you're not.
how do you do it then? How do you how do you bring a flexible
So,
architecture?
so we help. That's why I said you need to have a hybrid cloud framework. You need to have an understanding. There are technologies today. People talk about containers. You modernize your application. You can spawn these containers on-prem, and as a need arises, you can go onto cloud and pull them back when you're not needed. So there are strategies like that. There are frameworks which we are helping customers here to have a solid hybrid strategy where you're not getting hostage to any any cloud, be it on-prem, be it edge, or on the public cloud. You should have the flexibility of moving these workloads. And there are technologies available now where you can create this hybrid cloud framework so that which is flexible, agile, and will have this ability for you to move around using automation. And we do help customers here in India across the globe, and there are technologies available now, John. So this whole hybrid cloud is become a very, I would say, interesting and informative conversations rather than lock, stock, barrel. Let's move and go on public cloud because somebody in the board said, "Why are you not on the public cloud?"
So Riyaz, what, as Rajesh was saying, I mean, your hybrid system, very seamless and flexible and all of that, is it? You have a common view into all that is happening across these diverse systems.
Yeah, I mean, we worked with HP on them. They've helped to set
Okay.
so
Thanks.
everything that Rajesh has spoken about, yeah, it's a partnership, and like I said, it's a journey. I don't think so we're there yet. There are a lot of vulnerabilities which are there, which we see, and which we believe we will plug in over a period of time. I don't think so it's we're close to perfect in terms of where we want to be from a perfect architecture or from an economics point of view, but it's a journey. We'll get there. Actually, I want to add one point which is over here. See, when you look at it, I mean, on this, it's great on this panel when you have somebody who's providing the service and when the client is speaking. If you look at it from a client perspective, when you're running a business, what is it that you're seeking? You're basically seeking comfort that your IT systems will be able to scale up when it's required to do at relatively short notice and with little incremental cost. And given the kind of businesses that we in, And I don't want to use cost as a negative term, but it's a very important part of the strategy and the discussion, because there aren't unlimited budgets at any organization level. And if you want to do more innovative stuff, there needs to be ways by where you will save money so that you can channel that money into doing new productive stuff which is there. You want to be able to, in this age, have control over your data. Okay, because it is something, and especially in the financial services space where trust is an extremely important criteria for your clients, an extremely important parameter. So the way you protect, ring fence your data and have control over it, I think that is something, another factor which is there. The third element, I think, is about data security and security as a whole of what can happen. I mean, we get stories of, or there are narratives of both domestic as well as international, peers who have been affected. And the last more point is that you want to focus on your business. We are not an IT company. We are in the financial services space. We are in the business of providing wealth solutions to clients. And we want to spend more time with our clients. Yes, technology is an extremely important facilitator, platform, enabler for us, but it's not our business. So that's when the hybrid partner, if you get a hybrid partner, you have a hybrid strategy which is there, and you're able to keep your costs low. And also, when you're using services, which now the environment is configured for, you're able to focus on your business and do what you're meant to do and what you want to do for your clients. I'm saying if you look at it from a client lens point of view, then it makes tremendous sense. The cloud journey also, I think, and the framework which is there for essentially building it as a hybrid platform rather than a pure only cloud, especially in our business where the regulation is getting more and more tighter. There's now a SEBI circular which actually puts into place clauses which are there when you're working with the public cloud. What kind of clauses should be included in the contract?
Contract, really? Okay.
Yeah. They also want, for example, Rajesh spoke about this, that how difficult it is to decouple once you're completely tied into a service provider. The regulator now in the capital market space, if you're using cloud services, they want to see how easy or difficult is it. You'll have to be able to demonstrate that you can switch from one cloud service provider to the other.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay.
These are new developments which are there. So if you're, so all these points also have a this in terms of what cloud services you will use and how portable they will be from one. If I wanted to move from X cloud service provider to Y, how easy or difficult is it going to be able to do that? And for me to be able to demonstrate it to the regulator as well.
That's so interesting. Okay. So they are all thinking about all of this already, SEBI and all that. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. SEBI has done a fabulous job in terms of they're thinking forward. Even the Reserve Bank of India, they're absolutely on the ball.
On top of all of this, wonderful.
Yeah.
So you mentioned,
I mean, Sujit, one more point to add. Once the data privacy bill comes, it will have even more implications in terms of what gets regarded as most sensitive data, and as organizations start working with that data, what are the implications in case data gets misused or stolen? What are the implications? What kind of underwriting? What kind of penalties? So this is, and Riyaz rightly said that this is also going to be evolving area for businesses to look at how they're going to manage this data. They're back to you. Sorry.
Also, I think frameworks will come into place in terms of for Indian consumers or clients. Where is that data being stored? How much of it is on-prem? How much of it is on the cloud? How much of it is within the Indian jurisdiction? Because the government of India will want to have control over the data, or they will want the service provider to have control over the data.
You're saying the government will want, or even the consumers might start demanding these kind of things?
I don't know. I mean, the consumers may not necessarily have a very specific view.
Okay.
I think the government of India will
Government
definitely
will.
want,
Okay.
and it's not limited to government of India. Governments all over the world.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, data privacy. The PDB bills which are there are not limited only to India. In fact, India is a little late because they actually rewrote the legislation on that. But if you look at the Europe and all, they are already out with these data bills. I mean, with the data privacy bills.
Okay. What you said about data control and security and all, Riyaz, do you worry when you put data on the public cloud that some of these will be a control? I mean, control and security and all of that. Do you worry about it?
Yeah, of course, we do worry about it. It's our job to worry about it. But then, yes, we also take a lot of steps. Very robust ISG team, tools, continuous assessments of risk, threats which are there. So a lot of things anyway need to be done. So even if you just put it on public cloud, it doesn't mean it's not the end of it. A lot of other tools that you'll put into place to make sure that your data is safe, ring-fenced, and protected. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Rajesh, from other industries and all that, some use cases that you can think of which have made a big difference to them?
So Sujit, let me respond, in a slightly different way. Just to first, Riyaz spoke about what the businesses are expecting from IT partners like us. He said they are in this business of wealth management, and they would want to do that. And IT should work without creating problems for them, and should facilitate the business to do well and compete well in the market. So our position with some of the large customers, and then I'll give you some use cases also in terms of how we're helping customers around their hybrid journey. Because every aspect of business is getting digitalized or digitized or whatever you say. The digital sprawl, the technology sprawl is expanding. It is expanding on the edge. It's on the core and on the cloud also. And many times, it's not only HP which can meet the requirement of an organization. So you'll have various technology partners supplying gear, whether it's server, storage, network, software, applications. So at any point of time, for any large organization, they're also dealing with one is the IT sprawl, and second is this whole issue of different partners working with them to address different specific innovation ideas which the organization wants to have. So organizations are wanting to have a robust multi-cloud platform or hybrid cloud platform, which can allow them in 2-3 areas. One, a very robust IT infrastructure. Two, highly and heavily automated, so that when something goes wrong in a cocktail kind of environment, how do you figure out where the root cause is? So they need a lot of automation, because humanly it is now increasingly becoming very difficult for you to go and troubleshoot. So that's another area. And third area is when you're hosting these applications onto this infrastructure or platform, do you have the ability to move around these applications from edge to core to cloud? So what is the level of flexibility and agility you can provide? So this is one area we are helping a lot of customers to have a very solid hybrid platform, so that you can get benefited from public cloud, from your own core, or from the edge, so that there's seamless IT experience you can give to the businesses. So this is one area. The second area which Riyaz spoke about, and that's so important, is data. And a lot has been spoken about in terms of it being the most strategic asset, not only for the organization, but also for the country. And this data will be now at the edge, will be in the core, and will be on the cloud. And so you can't avoid that. And data has latency, data has gravity. As it moves, it costs money. data has information which has to be mined, and data has shelf life. So how do you create a data platform for an organization where they are able to harness the power of what accumulated data they have, and without burning the house? It has to be, cost competitive, and you should also know when to retire, because accumulating data and storing costs a lot of money. So you need to also have strategies in terms of how you retire also data which is not needed. And lot many times organizations possibly fail in this area, even including HP, that what data is not relevant, how do you retire? So that's another area we're helping customers to create these robust data platforms, so that every user, be an application guy, an analyst, or a data analyst, or any application user or DevOps guy, how do you get that data available to him, irrespective where it is, in a manner where latencies are taken care and the cost is taken care. The third area, which is also becoming important now, is we work in the ecosystems. Our partners are connected, our employees are connected, our suppliers are connected. So there's this tremendous amount of networking which is happening, because once you're a platform company, you are connected now practically to everyone. So how do you have this ability to know who's on your network, what is that gentleman doing on the network, and how do you satisfy his expectation depending on what is he doing? If he's on Facebook, do you want to give him the same level of service versus somebody who's accessing more important stuff? And even if he's on Facebook, is he looking at some marketing data which is relevant for you, or is he looking at his friends' data? That is the level of detailing today.
Really? Yes, your systems can capture that.
Yes. And we do
And
that
act
for
on
our
it.
customers. And because there's a lot about quality of service. And so you want the network to be highly optimized and being used for the company's betterment or financial goals. So that's the level of detailing now today you can do. And lastly, as Riyaz also alluded, was around security. So as this data moves around, how do you secure it so that you don't get compromised, and neither you nor your partners nor the consumers whose data is on the flight, and you process that? So these are three broad areas, Sujit. And lastly, all of this we are today able to deliver on a consumption basis through our Green Lake services. And Riyaz spoke about our relationship with Nuvama, and they are a big customer for us on our Green Lake platform, which is on a consumption basis. So you use and you pay what you use without having these unexpected shocks of looking at bills, which are going to be very dramatic. So we've been working. We have close to around 100 plus customers, Sujit, in India. We have public sector customers. We have ONGC is a very large customer where their entire SAP landscape we run on Green Lake Construct on a hybrid mode, and this contract is for 15 years, and we will run and do technology refreshes every 5 years. So we have a lot of large customers. There's large, because some of these customers I may not be able to name, but whether it's banking, core manufacturing, telecom, uh, and even retail, we have customers who are using Green Lake Construct and benefiting from this whole cloud operating environment which they wanted to create. And within their own premises, within their own security perimeter, data doesn't go out. You don't have to pay for your own data to come and go. So a lot of these things are being appreciated by a lot of our customers here in the country. And we believe that this is a good solution from HP for a lot of customers here in India. Yeah, back to you, Sujit.
Riyaz, what do you make of this Green Lake? Yeah, I've been hearing about it for some time now, but for those who are viewers, I mean, this is IT infrastructure which you have total control of, but the vendor is entirely owning and managing it. And therefore, it's not a public cloud, it's private cloud as a service. So there is Riyaz, what you use that quite a lot?
Yeah, we use it quite a lot. I mean, again, let me tell you a little bit about Nuvama's businesses a little bit, so that so that you can get a sense in terms of what kind of loads we kind of work with. So when you look at Nuvama as a group, we're looking at about 1 million customers, of which capital markets, which is your applications, your services that are related to the stock market, to trading, high frequency trading, where latency is measured in terms of milliseconds, microseconds, and even following. I mean, there's a race to zero. Your customers are trading with you on equities, on derivatives, and on other wealth management products like structured products and others. So there's probably a very large ecosystem that we run. There's the entire client service where the client aspects, where I said you could probably have up to 100,000 customers logging into your systems every day. There are peak loads to manage when the stock markets are on. There are events like the RBI monetary policy or the budgets, which can cause a sudden spike, or the war situation, which can suddenly cause a lot of customers to come and trade. Plus, you need to be connected to a lot of other fintech open source systems and regulators. So we probably work with about 15 regulators, stroke intermediaries, which include stock exchanges, clearing corporations, a multitude of banks. When you look at this entire ecosystem and to make it work, where uptime is extremely important, latency is extremely important, delivery is very important, that's when your infrastructure, your networks play an extremely significant role in delivering all of this, because they determine the experience the end customer will see. What HP GreenLake has helped us is, it has helped us to make life relatively predictable for us, which is what we love. We don't like shocks. Human beings love predictability. They like to know what is going to happen. And in terms of the way the arrangement is configured, the service by itself, where you know in advance what is it that you're going to pay for, and it takes away the pressure of provisioning for expenses beforehand, or putting money upfront. So there is a cash flow impact which is there, which is a positive cash flow impact for us. And you get the benefits of a cloud-like infrastructure, or a cloud-like feeling, where you're able to scale up, scale down as you believe your infra or your business will grow, or it'll you can calibrate it as it goes along. So that is where, if you look at the entire complex ecosystem that we run, a multitude of client segments, products, asset classes, connection to intermediaries, then your infrastructure, and that's where HP comes into play, which is helping us to drive this entire vehicle forward and make sure that it runs every day.
Yeah.
And the kind of predictability, I'm telling you, the kind of predictability that we expect from our partners, clients expect it from us also. At 9 o'clock in the morning, when they log into our systems, and they expect to be able to log in. They expect to see their watch list. They expect to see their portfolios. They expect to see or have the ability to connect to their RMs. So all of that is there. That clients also have that predictability expectation from us.
Okay. Yeah, no, very interesting new model that's emerging. Yeah, I think a lot of, I think Rajesh also mentioned a lot of customers already. And for you, Riyaz, for the kind of latency requirements and all that you have, I mean, I guess all of these things are so important. There are multiple questions coming in. I know there are other things that I wanted to ask you, but let me just put these questions to you. There's one from Samir Jain asking, would like to know the bottlenecks in implementing hybrid cloud in government domain, considering data privacy, capacity issues with the departments, existing infrastructure with departments. Any successful case studies will be of immense help from a learning perspective. Rajesh, that's for you.
Yeah. So, there are three things. One, our experience with the government is that the budgeting process. Sujit, is more CapEx oriented and not OpEx. Usually, majority of budget is CapEx, and a very small percentage of their budgets are allocated as OpEx budgets. So, hence, any consumption model is a challenge for them to start with because of limited OpEx budgets. From a hybrid cloud perspective, there is sensitivity about what data government can can have it on public clouds. We spoke about regulation from banking industry, but there's also sensitivity about and we've seen the kind of geopolitical risks which are emanating from a technology perspective. So there's a heightened sensitivity about if you go down the path on the hybrid journey, and so who do you trust? There's a trust issue which comes in. But what has happened is what MeitY has done is they have empaneled a lot of cloud providers basis a certain set of tick marks they have to adhere to and comply to. And these are MeitY certified public stroke private cloud service providers who work with the government, and any government department today can use the services of some of these certified empaneled public cloud. So ability is there. Budgeting process sometimes limits them to see how they can handle that. And the third one is to embark on the journey of hybrid cloud, you also have to have strong in-house resources, because you also should have the ability to understand what's being delivered or done by any service provider for you. So that's another area where scale has to be built. But if you ask me, the kind of work MeitY has done, specifically around digital public goods, whether it is UIDI, whether it is ONDC. Now we're talking about this whole logistics framework, which is I can't remember the word. It was in my mind just now, which is Gati Shakti. Gati Shakti is to see how, as a country, we can reduce the logistics costs in the country from a specific percentage to world-class percentage, so that Make in India becomes much more easy. So there are these bright spots, as I said, but there are issues around, as I said, budgeting process, skills process, but there is a lot which is happening around hybrid in the government space also.
Okay. But generally they're not generally Green Lake customers, is they?
We do not have too many government customers, but we have started working with the government to see how budgeting process can be managed, so that departments have more budgets for OpEx kind of conversations.
Okay. There's another question. This I think both of you could answer. Look at this. This and two people asking similar questions, Prakash Shah and RP Singh. How do we analyze the ROI in hybrid cloud environments? Who wants to? Riyaz, you want to take a shot first?
So I think from an ROI point of view, you'll have to see it from a point of view of the scale and the efficiency that you're able to drive. Ultimately, what is the application being used for? What is the application generating for you? What does it cost you to run, and how quickly can and to what extent can you scale it? These are the parameters that I would put into place to arrive at the ROI for a particular cloud application. And we use this framework, to be very honest. Again, we've spoken so much about the cost, the cloud economics which are there. Since Rajesh has been so gracious to accept that even HP has made mistakes. So even in our case, I mean, there were decisions that we took. Yes, there is sometimes pressure, there is sometimes excitement to move things to the cloud, which we have done. And then we have realized that the economics just doesn't work. I mean, the application is costing you probably 3 times of what it cost when you were running it on-prem, and you still didn't get the benefits of performance or
Really? So
output.
this happens because of what, Riyaz? Is it bandwidth costs? Is it the cost that these hyperscalers charge you? What?
So it is a combination. See, if you look at it, the 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 way cloud is priced, so there is obviously a compute charge to it. There is a storage, and then there is services that you use. If your application is not configured for the cloud, where you are able to take advantages of cloud services which are inbuilt into cloud platforms which are there, your ability to switch on, switch off, scale up. You want to run processing overnight, you want to scale up the application resources for 3 hours. So if your application is not configured for all of these things, then it will anyway struggle to run in a cloud environment. That is number one. Another very big factor, which is there is a lot of learning that happens in the cloud journey. You will port stuff to the cloud, or you will start with something on the cloud and then realize over a period of time where either you have over budgeted the resources that you thought you will need, and there is always a tendency to over budget because you expect certain spikes which are there. And then there is a learning curve which is there for what services the platform itself offers inherently, which will help you to optimize. And as this learning kicks in over a period of time, but it has to be done consciously. It has to be done consciously. So you may find a lot of organizations who actually have a cloud champion who or a champion team which is there, whose activity is only to monitor what workloads are being used, why are they being used, what time are they being used, where is the traffic coming from. There's so many parameters where you can fine tune, tweak to be able to get the maximum out of it. So it's a very conscious activity. Is it worth it? Absolutely. We believe our cloud cost this year, and hats off to our engineering team that works on all of this, and obviously our partners who work with us. We believe our cloud cost, even though our workloads will go up by 25-30% this year, our cloud cost will be down by 25%.
Really?
Yeah. It's a journey, and I think again we'll do again something next year, and there'll be some stuff that we'll take from on-prem and put it onto the cloud, and there'll be some stuff we'll take from the cloud and bring in on-prem.
Yeah.
So it's something
Are
that
there automation tools now that kind of monitor all these costs and give you an alert and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. And obviously it helps. Even the monitoring and the automation tools are there, but ultimately, yes, we are now in the age of AI, but human beings will still, because ultimately it is business and it is your business. And that call is yours. I mean, at the end of the day, how you want to take it. The automation will help you. Will prompt you, and there are certain things that the automation will be able to do, but certain decisions you still want a human being to look at.
Humans to do it. Okay.
But I'll tell you, it's just not about the cloud. Again, I'll repeat at the cost of being, at the cost of sounding boring about it. It requires a lot of effort. It's not an easy task. It requires a lot of effort. If we look at an ecosystem like Nuvama, the requirements for our trading platform are very different from our requirements for, say, for example, a wealth management platform.
I think Riyaz, maybe you've gone on mute.
Yeah, Riyaz, we can't hear you. Why can't we hear Riyaz? Riyaz, we can't hear you.
Absolutely.
We lost you for the last few seconds. For a
So you're
minute, we
talking
lost
about
you. Your voice, for some
okay,
reason.
Okay, my voice just went away. Sorry, I'll just repeat that.
Huh.
I'm saying the the journey which is there for cloud requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of passion to get into it. It requires a lot of attention to detail. And is it worth it? Is the effort worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. Because it means your clients will be very happy with you. It means your CEO will be very happy with you. It means hopefully you'll get the bigger budgets next year because your CEO believes that you can manage these kind of budgets well.
Okay. Yeah, Rajesh, you were saying.
No, I said, I echo, thumb rule is if your workload is unpredictable, then possibly, I mean, it is a very, very oversimplified view, but if it is unpredictable, it is better suited for a cloud like public cloud. If the workload is mature, it is predictable, then there's no reason for you to pay a premium to be on the cloud because you can manage that. So unpredictable spikes, something which happens once in a month or twice in a month, 3,000%, 6,000%, and it happens. Riyaz spoke about trading sometimes in ATM usage or weekends. So do you build that capacity in-house or do you build that, rent it out on a public cloud? So these are the thoughts which go, and that's how we decide. But to the question which you said, ROI, my sense is our experience has been that today I can go to any customer who has a workload on public cloud, stable. We can commit 30 to 40% saving on just the IT cost.
Yeah.
I'm saying I may go wrong once or twice here and there. I'm ready to run that risk with this statement, but I can safely say that that's basis our experience of having worked with a lot of customers. So your ROI is certainly in 90% of the cases much better having a hybrid strategy rather than having just the public cloud strategy.
Okay. Are we at a stage where there's a cost optimization tool for all the different clouds together or something which can
today what are GreenLake Central, which is the multi-cloud platform, it comes with various tools. So it comes with metering tools. So it gives you consumption patterns, analytics. It gives you billing for multiple clouds in just one piece of paper. What your consumption patterns are. It suggests that ways to reduce the cost. Riyaz spoke about being predictable and being transparent in terms of how cost can be optimized. So these tools are available, and world will never be homogeneous where every cloud provider will make it easy for you to switch from one to another because that is so customer friendly. And real world, that's not a situation people want to be in. So as I said, these tools are available today, John, and you can get the consumption patterns. You can get advisories around that as to how you can optimize. Yeah, it is there.
Okay. I know we are out of time. Just one, I mean, we sometimes have younger audiences. Give them an idea, young engineers and all watching this. Give them an idea. What kind of skills would they require to handle a public or create a public hybrid cloud?
I think areas around automation would be a big area because we've not yet seen the impact of 5G. 5G is if the way it will evolve, it will possibly digitize every aspect of how we live. And imagine the proliferation of devices, so much of digitization. We believe that automation will be a big threat for a lot of people looking at getting into these kind of careers. So that'll be my piece of advice, what I see.
Okay. Riyaz, what kind of people do you have?
So obviously we have all kinds of network engineers, we have cloud engineers, we have cloud champions, as I told you. And see, the nature of our business also requires people to have deep functional understanding of systems and of products. So you need somebody who understands markets, very specific to the domain which we are working in, because it is genuinely very complex. So it's a combination of both functional as well as technical skills which are required to be able to.
Okay. How many champions do you have?
So we work with a so we work with a group of we work with a relatively smaller team of about 12 people who manage our entire infrastructure. We also are in partnership with Entity. We have a large relationship with them in terms of and obviously partners like HP who come into play. So that's the approach that we have taken. We have a very strong, solid team of functional specialists, and then they work with a lot of partners to make sure that they deliver the services for us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In your area, particularly, I mean, this is also critical. Absolutely. So I know we are out of beyond time actually. So great discussion. Hybrid cloud. Obviously, I think I hear that now everywhere. Everybody's talking about it, but implementing it is obviously it's not as simple as simply just moving like from one thing to the other. I mean, you have to really architect it in a way that it's efficient, scalable, seamlessly. You can move things around. That's a huge challenge where you need to work with partners. So thanks a lot for HP and Savex Technologies for partnering with us on this discussion. Thanks so much, Riyaz. Great insights on what Nuvama is doing. Thanks a lot, Rajesh, for being with us here today. Hope to see you both again some other time. Yeah.
Thanks, Sujit. Fantastic conversation.
Thank you.
And thanks, Riyaz, for being on the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thanks, Sujit. Bye.
Bye.